morning, learners. Welcome to the exciting world of tourism. Now, in this presentation, we are going to talk about tour operations part 2. This session will primarily deal with the different functions, with the other functions of the tour operator. Let us understand more. What is the function of providing a quality service include? How does business correspondence happen in a travel business? What is the briefing function of a tour escort, tour guide? What is the briefing function of a tour driver? Now let us take this first function, that is caring for customers. For tour operators to be successful and earn money, they must provide a quality service. If an operator does not do this, she will find this difficult to attract customers. There is a fierce competition between inbound operators to get and keep clients. Only those who provide real good customer care have a hope of providing a quality service, giving a little bit extra, handling customer complaints. Providing quality service. So let us understand why it is important and let us understand the psyche of the tourist. Your clients will always have high expectations of the service you can provide. For these expectations to be met depends largely on how good you are at your job. You can either make their dream come true or turn their dreams into nightmares. We must understand that tourism is an emotional investment. The tourist has spent a fortune of money, for years together to go on a holiday. For him, it may be his labor of love. So for this, he wants that his dream remains a dream only. It is not converted into a nightmare. And when he's taking this service, when he's taking a tour package from you as a tour operator, it is your duty and responsibility to give him an experience of a lifetime and to give him memories and happiness when he goes and comes back from the tour. So providing quality service is very, very important and important part of your job responsibility. Unless you can satisfy these expectations, customers will be unhappy. On the other hand, if you can give a better service than they expected, you will have gone far beyond their hopes and expectations. We call it customer delight, that the customer is not only happy, and as a tour operator, you don't only have to make him satisfied. When his expectations meets your performance, you have to beat his expectations, and that is customer delight. And that is the only way to repeat your business. If he's happy with your service, if he's happy as to what he expected, he got more, then he would be delighted and he would like to travel with you, and he would spread the positive word of mouth about you, not only to one person but to many people. So that would mean that your business will flourish in the coming future. So remember that many clients may be experienced travelers who will judge your services against the previous experiences. These days, most of the tourists are well traveled. They have seen the world. They know what the world-class service is all about. So when they are traveling with you, so they know what is the quality of service they're expecting in their mind. They have a set perception of service. And if you do not match that service, that will leave a very bad impression of your company, and they would not like to travel with you in the future. They would rather spread a bad word of mouth. So please understand that trying to please every customer is not only due to make them happy, but to get repeat business and good publicity. So we send a customer who is not happy with us. These days is the rage of the social media. The bad word of mouth will spread faster, spreads like fire. So that will go very negative against your business. So in order to ensure that you get good business and you remain good in the eyes of the tourist, you must focus on your quality. You must ensure that you give a world-class service to the tourist who is coming to avail your service. Caring for your clients, ensuring that they enjoy high-quality service is all about putting people first. As I said, you must keep in mind exactly the needs of the tourist. This is your starting point. What he wants, putting people first. The reason for checking a ticket delivered by an airline before giving it to a customer is to give them the best service. So cross-checking of things or cross-checking of his visa when it comes from the embassy that his name is correctly mentioned, his visa number, his passport number is correctly mentioned, or the length of the visa is correct, or the kind of number of entries is correct. That is the way of showing your professional approach and showing that you want to give nothing but only the best. To offer quality service to every client means being able to maintain high standards and repeat them every time, and involves developing systems and making them work every time the tourist travels with you. Always remember that every client likes to feel special. Making each one feel different from thousands of others you deal with every year is not that always easy. Here are simple ways to achieve this. Let us understand. Always acknowledge people when you meet them. Maybe you could call them by their first name, and they would always like it that at least you recognize. Maybe he calls you and just you recognize by their voice, and you them, hello Mrs. Sharma, hello Mrs. Gupta. So that's one style of acknowledging the presence of the people and being proactive in your approach. Also, you should always look into the eyes when you speak. Eye contact is very important, shows that you're interested in the other person, and it also reflects your confidence. And of course, a big smile is an ornament. It acts like an ornament. When you talk to your client, to the tourist, to the guest, you should be always smiling. You should have a very positive smile on your face, and you should carry it with a lot of vigor and confidence. You should address people courteously. That is very important. Basic courtesy should never be forgotten. Address them courteously. Use their name if you know it, as I told you before. And we will talk about giving a little bit extra. Now, what is that extra? Something which you're expecting, which you get, is normal. But something which you are not expecting and you get that freebies is always like an icing on the cake. The tourists would be delighted. As I said, you don't have to work on customer satisfaction just, you have to work on customer delight. So you have to think of innovative ways of how to give extra to the customer, and how what you can give him that makes him feel, that brings a smile on his face, and that adds on to his experience, and that gives him lifetime memories. With experience, you will learn what the customer expects from you. The secret is giving that little bit extra, is anticipating the request before it comes, being prepared to deal with it, and even perhaps offering it before it is asked for. So basically what I'm trying to say, extra could be maybe you give your guest is staying in Mauritius in Hotel L'Ile Méridien, and he's staying there for 6 nights, and you give him complimentary 3 to 4 water activities. You're not charging anything from him. Or when he reaches the hotel, you give him a basket of fruits, or basket of chocolates, or you give him a champagne or wine. So that is something you are delighting the customer. So that, as I said, giving extra is very important. You go an extra mile beyond, and you see what happens as a result. The magic happens. Now, the third is handling client complaints. There will be times when things do not go right. Travel will not always be a cakewalk. There would be a lot of issues, and as a tour operator also, your business will not be a cakewalk. So you have to understand that there would be always issues with the clients. Maybe from your side you're giving the best, but you don't know what is in his mind, and what are his expectations. Maybe his expectations are very, very high. So you need to be ready to deal with them. So clients or wholesalers may sometimes bring a problem to your attention. Even the wholesalers also, the principal suppliers also. Maybe your client is stayed in a hotel, and he had a child, and the child broke the lamp of that hotel. So maybe the hotelier will contact you that the child broke the lamp. If the guest is not ready to pay for that compensation. So such small incidents keep happening on the tour, and you have to be mentally prepared to deal with such situations. So maybe sometimes the clients have different set of needs from others, or simple adjustment or extra service can solve the problem. It can even be turned into an example of extra caring, extra attentive service. You can earn goodwill by moving these kinds of problems. So, what are the tips for handling complaints? To stay calm yourself. This allows you to stay in control. When you're calm and your client angry, the observers are likely to suppose you're right. See, this is a very important strategy. If you lose your calm and the client is angry on you, then you will understand you will lose your client forever. So you always have to be very patient with the client. Sometimes you know that the client is only wrong, but you have to be very tactful and skillful in dealing with him, and you still have to stay calm with him. He might shout at you, but that doesn't give you the right. As we say in tourism, that the customer is always right. So you have to maintain your calm with him, and even when, especially like in a group, if he's shouting at you and you are calm, the other would know that they would assume that you are right. So your calmness would make a much of difference. And keep your speech and tone business-like. Means always be professional. Don't speak too much. That sometimes the customer, he could make any other interpretation of what you said. So speak in limit and speak professionally. Do not try to take the complaint personally. Many a times the customer would not be happy. Maybe he's not happy with the demeanor of the tour guide, or maybe he's not happy with the kind of hotel you have provided, or maybe he's not happy with the housekeeping staff of the hotel, or maybe he's not happy with the itinerary that you have given. He might find it very hectic itinerary. So he would come to you that you have a very hectic itinerary, I'm not able to get rest, or you are not giving me a good hotel. Sometimes you may be taking your guests to a remote location, to a village where there is no Wi-Fi service available. So he might complain of the Wi-Fi. So please always understand that you should never take the complaints personally. You must ensure that the complaints are complaints only, and they are related to the business. They are nothing related to you, unless until he tells you that your behavior is not good. So you have to keep that at bay and do not get this onto your head. But definitely we'll discuss later that this negative feedback is also, you cannot do away with it. You should also make a note of it, and to be discussed with the management later, and how authentic it is. Never argue or answer back. If the complaint does, however, center on you, bring in a colleague or manager as a witness. So never argue or answer back. Take time to understand what the customer is saying. We say listening is half done. So once you have listened to the customer, he would be pacified automatically. Any problem has to be dealt tactfully. As I said earlier also, you should take the person somewhere private, and as loud voices attract attention and anger can be contagious. Get the person sit down, as people often become less aggressive and seated. Maybe you could give him offer a glass of water, ask him, sir, what happened. Maybe some other tour group member might have caused that aggression in that person. Someone might have behaved badly with him, or maybe the hotel staff might have behaved badly with him. So in all these cases, all likelihood, you have to be very, very attentive to his needs, and you have to ensure that you do not hurt his sentiments. You have to be a very good listener, listen to his complaint, and show that you are genuinely interested in what he's saying, and you're genuinely interested to resolve his issue, and that will actually help him get out of his anger. So ask questions to get the full details, and you can show understanding, but must not offer on your own opinion on the issues unless until he asks for. Rather, you should refrain. Hear comments like I see, I understand, do go on, sir. Suggest that you can see the person's problem. I understand, sir, I understand. I see, oh, I'm really sorry. So no, these are very empathetic words. This show that you are really able to connect with the client's issues, and you are ready to listen to him, and you are ready to resolve his issue. So in that way, even if you listen, maybe you don't have a solution, you will have been successful in reducing his anger, and you would have able to calm him to a certain extent at least. Make note of some important points. Repeat and talk to the client so you both agree you have all the facts. Alternatively, you can ask the client to write out a report. This in itself can be a cooling down tactic. Find out exactly what the person wants. This is very important. Agree on a solution. This is possible where you can manage to solve the problem. If you need time to investigate the complaint or to consult other people, undertake to report back with an answer or a solution. The best strategy is always to buy time. When you're not sure of of any solution the client has asked for, or you need to cross check the facts. So you should always say, I would get back to you, but give the exact time, maybe within a day or 2 days, So, but come up with the solution so that he can restore that faith in you, that what you said you have promised. Follow up as you said you would. The correct handling of complaints does not end here. You should know when to say no, sorry, and when not to say it. Be very careful about saying sorry. If you say it before you have found out the whole story and before you know if there is real fault, you in effect accept responsibility. The client can take this can be dangerous. Why? Because we might say sorry, but sometimes sorry can be negative also, because he could take your apology as you're accepting responsibility and then expect compensation, that he could file a legal case against you. It could take things so far. You can say that you are sorry that there appears to be a problem. This does not suggest that you accept the fault is yours. See, there's a difference. There's a problem, he would accept it. If for example, he did not like the hotel property, so you could accept that is not good, but you may not accept that this is your fault. Maybe there could be some issue, maybe the flight got cancelled, so that may not be your fault. You are sorry that the flight got cancelled, but the flight getting cancelled may not be your fault, because maybe it could be a technical fault or it could be the weather condition. So what I'm trying to say is you have to be very careful and balanced in saying sorry. You can say sorry for investigation. If after investigation the fault was yours and you intend to make amends. Complaints made in writing are often more serious than complaints made face to face. You must deal with written complaints immediately. Sometimes the clients are not enough with saying orally. Sometimes they complain written to the management, or when they come back from the tour they write, or sometimes even during the tour they write to the management if they're not happy with their services. But you have to take them very seriously as a tour operator. You have to reply immediately in writing to say you have received their complaint and investigating the problem. Undertake to keep them informed of your action. Investigate the problem, because these days the consumer laws are very, very strong. So you have to ensure that you keep them posted of the latest thing, of the latest investigation, what is happening, and you revert back on time. This is very, very important. Do not take it for granted that I will reply in few days time or whatever, because the customer, everything, like these days everybody is using emails and everything is being tracked, the date, the time. So you have to be very instantaneous and spontaneous in writing back. Maybe you could buy time, but you have to at least revert back immediately. Decide on the best action. Inform the unhappy client in writing. Keep all correspondence notes on file. You have to maintain a file of the complaints. Monitor all complaints and problems. By keeping a record of all the incidents that happen, you will be able to see trends and patterns. This allows you to put the matter in right at the source. So what I'm trying to say is that it gives you a broader perspective of things. Sometimes same problems are being repeated. Maybe everybody is saying the itinerary is not very good, it is very hectic for us, or the hotel property which you are selling, where you are making the guest stay, is not a very good property. But then in that case, or maybe the restaurant you take them, the food is not good. Sometimes the guest may have diarrhea after eating it, and it could be sometimes repeated. So you have to then take this problem very seriously, the feedback seriously, and then you have to put things in a proper perspective, and you have to take a corrective action for the future travelers so that your business is not affected. Now the next function, we have just discussed the service quality, which is a very important function. Now we'll talk about business correspondence. See, the correspondence will happen at every aspect. In every business, the correspondence happens. So tourism business is also does not work in isolation. Here also the correspondence is happening on day-to-day basis. The correspondence could be with the principal suppliers. It could be with the internal correspondence with the employees of the organization, or it could be with the customers, outside correspondence. So it could be at different levels. So many of the wholesalers of your operation will require confirmations or tickets. When we talk in respect of wholesalers, they would require confirmations or tickets sent to them by mail, and many of the documents and out to your clients will arrive in your office by mail. All organizations depend upon incoming, outgoing, and internal correspondence. So there are three different types of business correspondence. One is incoming correspondence, one is outgoing correspondence, and one is internal correspondence. So this correspondence is very, very important. The product of tour operators is an arrangement made on paper, and we depend on the mail more than any other businesses. So correspondence can be by different ways. It could be by letter, it could be by fax, it could be by telex, it could be by memo, it could be by email, and nowadays it's by WhatsApp, by SMS. So there are different latest ways of corresponding with the client. Email is considered to be more formal now. So reasons for correspondence, it could be requesting information, you are giving information, you are promoting sales, you could call mail shots, you are receiving documents, you are dispatching documents, you are receiving payments, you are dispatching payments, etc. So all coming correspondence must be handled quickly and correctly in order that customers' bookings are properly processed, and outgoing correspondence should create a professional image of both yourself and your company. See, whatever you are sending out of your company, it speaks volumes of who you are, what your standing is. So you have to be very professional. So whatever you are sending out it should be carefully well written and then well read before you put it out in the market. So that is important. One of the first tasks of the working day is to deal with all correspondence. This may mean that someone has to go through the post received, someone has to check the fax mail, collect printouts from the telex machine, write down messages from the answer phone, and someone has to check the computer for email or network messages. These days, even the staff is expected to answer in WhatsApp or in SMS, because WhatsApp you can immediately check the status that did the tour operator staff, did they check the correspondence or not. So it becomes more important to revert back on time. Incoming correspondence can cover many different subjects. It may include updates from suppliers on products available, invoices for services provided, requests from customers, arrival of tickets, new stock of brochures, advice of flight time changes, customer complaints, and much more. It will be important to deal with all this information in order of priority. You may start by opening all the company correspondence, checking the name of the addressee and recording of the date received using the dates tab. Outgoing correspondence. Before you send any correspondence from your office, you should check that the correct paper is used, the letterhead, etc. The letter is formatted as I told you. It shows who you are. So the letter is formatted correctly, it has a correct date, it is addressed to the correct person, all information is correct. Double check with all files that no grammatical spelling or typo errors. And all questions asked have been answered. The letter is easily understood. The letter is polite and businesslike. The letter has been signed by the appropriate person. The envelope has been addressed correctly. The correspondence is dispatched by the most appropriate means according to its urgency. Internal correspondence. Now, internal correspondence is what? When you communicate with the staff of the tour operator company, within your own company. This is normally done in an informal way. However, handwritten notes are normally quite acceptable in communicating with your colleagues. But nowadays, I would say that it is more, again, even whether it is internal, everything has to be in email, in writing. Email preferably, because that's the most professional way. When you pass on an important, or you could put on the bulletin boards within the organization any information you want to post, maybe regarding the job vacancy, or maybe regarding the promotions, or anything you would like to communicate with the change in the policies. It could be via email, or it could be on the bulletin, posted on the bulletin boards. Preferably, this correspondence may also be, as I said, through emails. And it is when you pass on any important urgent piece of information to colleague, you should double check that it was received. Double checking is very important. So dispatching correspondence at the end of the working day, there could be large quantity of mails to be sent. This will include electronic dispatches as well as physical posting. The whole office staff should therefore be aware of what time the mail will leave from office, and ideally this will be out about an hour or half an hour before close of the business. So everybody should be aware of that. At this time, the administration person will collect the mail and take it to the box, the post office, and this may take a little time, so it will be that person's last duty of the day. Faxes, telefaxes, etc. should not wait till the end of the day, but should be dispatched once throughout the working day. Now the next function is of the briefing of the escort / tour guide. A tour guide is, but we must understand before who is a tour guide, and there is a difference between tour guide and tour escort. Tour guide is different from a tour escort, who is also called as a tour leader, tour director in different countries. And as a tour leader, he stays for longer duration till the completion of a tour, as compared to a tour guide who is only for a sightseeing tour with the guest. What I mean to say is that the tour guide is basically, he is with the group for a very short span of time. When he takes the tour group for the sightseeing purposes, as compared to the tour leader or the tour escort who remains with the group from the day they reach the country till the time they leave the country. So he stays with them throughout their journey. And moreover, a tour guide needs a license to operate, unlike a tour escorts. But we need to understand what are the briefings. So they would have common kind of briefings depending upon the scope of their job and the responsibilities. A professional escort guide knows all about the history, flora and fauna, etc. of his day tour. He must be knowledgeable and have a mastery over his subject. The tour operator must help him to tailor his information to the need of the group. See, it's the job of the tour operator to help him and give him all the required information so that he can operate seamlessly when the group arrives in the country. He may share the information about the group with the tour guide related to the following: that how many people are coming in the group, what language the people will speak, are they speaking. Sometimes the tour guide or the tour leader may be expected to deal with Germans, maybe sometimes he may be expected to deal with Spanish, maybe with Italians. So there could be different people coming from different parts of the world. So you have to keep the tour leader or tour guide as a tour operator, you have to keep them abreast of the details of the group they are going to handle in the future. They should not be totally naive when the guests come. They should be quite familiar with the whereabouts of the group members, like how old are the group members, what language they speak, what is their age, what are their age, or what are their special requests, or what kind of itinerary they are expecting, if there are any special VIPs on the tour, or any kind of special request. Sometimes many guests may ask for, they may ask for food, like there may be gents in a group who may ask for food without onion or without garlic. Some may ask for facilities, like some may be physically challenged in a group, so they would be asking for facilities like a special room with a special toilet attached, accessible toilet. So such kind of things the guests might ask for. Some might be traveling with their toddler, so they would have different requirements. So as the tour operator, you have to tell them, pass this information to the tour guide or tour escort, any kind of special request get asked by the group members, or maybe special anniversaries falling, special date like birthday, anniversaries falling. So you have to communicate the same to the tour guide. And also, of course, the day's itinerary is very important, that throughout the day what it was going to be the exact tour program from time, minute to minute, from an hour to hour. So the tour members need to be updated about that. Now, when we come about talking about the briefing, the vehicle and driver are vital parts of the tour. Before meeting the tourist, the driver should have checked the following. See, the familiarization of the coach by the driver is very important because life and safety of guests is in the hands of the driver. So the driver of the transport company, he must be very well aware of his role, and he must check the brakes, fuel, water, engine oil, tires, tire pressure, windscreen wipers, lights on, public address system, microphone, because you might hire a tour guide. Sometimes even the driver acts as a tour guide come driver. So in all cases, the public address system and the microphone should be in the running mode. So these things are to be cross-checked by the driver before he takes his group on a tour, on a sightseeing tour. So many things need to be checked by the driver, including the first aid kit within the coach. If he is taking the guest by a coach, the fire extinguisher is working or not, its position, the first aid box, the paintwork of the coach, the seats, they are in order, is there dustbin in the coach, the floor is clean or not, the ashtrays, refreshments, etc. if they need to be given. The driver himself should be well briefed. Often he will have to be into the places before and he knows the best way. If he is new, he needs careful help before starting off. Should be well aware of the routes he is going to, the best routes to avoid the traffic and to reach well on time. The driver's appearance is also important. He should be clean, smartly dressed, fresh and clean. He should not smoke, spit or chew betel in the vehicle, or he should not drink alcohol during the tour, or he should come to work smelling of it. All these give a very bad impression of the driver and of the tour company as well. That's it. Thank you. I hope with this I would like to summarize that you have learned the various functions. We started on with the first function of the providing quality service, taking care of the guest, handling complaints in a mature way, and then we proceed on to the briefing of the tour guide, the driver, and tour guide, tour leader, and the driver. And so with this, I hope the things are clear to you. Thank you very much.